Hey guys, today I am reacting to Geography Now of Sweden. Should be interesting. From what I know, Sweden is part of the EU, but they still have their own currency. I think the krona, something like that. And the capital is Stockholm. Yeah, it's quite an interesting company. They're known for like IKEA, H&M, Spotify. So yeah, quite a lot of things came from there, and of course PewDiePie is also from Sweden. Although I think he lives in England now. He has a house in Japan or something like that. But yeah, Sweden is an interesting country, and let's learn some more about it. And if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd really help out. Thanks for watching. Now let's get started.
I don't have to give much of an introduction. I'm sure you've all heard of this one. We've scaled the treacherous Danish peaks of Møllehøj.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you've all heard of this one. We've scaled the treacherous Danish peaks of
Møllehøj, something like that, I would guess. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but I'm guessing like Møllehøj, something like that. Okay. That's the tallest peak in Denmark, dang. That's kind of short, but yeah, Denmark is known for being flat, yeah.
Møllehøj stomached the ammonia-flavored Icelandic Hákarl, and our wallets were viciously attacked by Norwegian prices of anything. But now it's time. Welcome to the final boss
Norwegian prices, yeah.
of Scandinavia, Sweden. Ooh, it's hot. I'm all hot and sweaty right now.
You know the drill.
Oh yeah, okay.
Kick it.
Oh yeah, Noah's back, by the way.
Here we are.
Yep.
It's time to learn geography.
No! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. You can get a Geography Now t-shirt or Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. Not selling out if it's your brand. Anyway, alright you guys, this is it. Our last Nordic country.
But what about...
You're a constituent.
But what about?
You're an unincorporated territory.
But what about me?
We already did your video, I even went there. Okay. Anyway, I actually wanted to go to Sweden for this episode, but at the last minute, Sweden was like,
oh, you went to Sweden before? Okay.
Hey, we're gonna close off our borders to anyone outside the EU. But you know how it goes. The show must go on. And if we can't go to Sweden, we're gonna bring Sweden to us, and in the best possible way.
Nice, he's gotten some local representatives in. That's pretty cool.
With real Swedish people. And I mean like real Swedes, not those 5th generation Minnesota Swedes that eat Lutefisk.
Exactly. Real Swedish people who hold Swedish passports, yeah. The people who hold the passports, I think that.
Just once a year. And so with that, say hi to Jonas and Carolina. Come on in.
I guess they live in California. These Swedes are the virgin in California, something like that.
Oh, yeah. I got 2 Swedes.
South Swede, not Danish. Yeah, that's a bit of a joke, right? The southern Swedish, see, it's kind of Danish. It's like former Danish land. They speak like a dialect that's similar, I think. Like Skinner, something like that, right? And Jonas, he likes puppies. That's interesting.
So you guys are the real deal, Swedish, straight up, right?
I was born in Sweden and lived there for 10 years. And then my mom moved me to the enemy, to Norway.
Oh, so you're half Norwegian.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm from Skåne, so we might have...
Yeah, oh, pretty much Danish. No, I'm kidding. That's just a joke I've heard from Swedish people. But yeah, it's interesting. That area did used to belong to Denmark, though, actually.
some angry people out there claiming I'm Danish, but
It was LA. You guys were the best I could find. So anything you want to say to the Swedish subscribers?
Nah, I'm excited for you guys to learn more about your country. Our country.
By the way, where are you guys from?
I'm from Helsingborg.
And I'm from Skellefteå.
Now, there are many ways...
Oh, maybe some people will be mad that they didn't get someone from the capital. Yeah, Stockholm. Maybe that would be more accurate, but I don't know. But I guess Sweden's pretty diverse in general, right? But these guys, maybe some Swedish people will be mad that they aren't Swedish enough, I don't know.
Divide Europe. You know, like you have the Mediterranean. Hey, tomato for sale, tomato. The post-Iron Curtain. The Balkans. But everyone knows the further north you go, things start to get delicious and sweet.
Anyway, let's look at the globe.
Sweden lies in the region of Scandinavia in northern Europe and is the largest of all the Scandinavian countries, the fifth largest in Europe and third in the EU. The country is bordered by Norway to the west and north, and Finland in the northeast, separated by the Gulf of Bothnia otherwise between them. In this gulf, you can also find Sweden's two largest islands, Öland and Gotland. Otherwise in the south, the only other physical connection they
I've heard of Åland and Gotland, yeah.
technically have is with Denmark via the partially submerged and partially above ground Öresund Bridge that connects Malmö, the third largest city, to Copenhagen. I'm trying my best with these pronunciations, bear with me. The country's largest city, though, and capital is Stockholm, located on the east side of the country, and it actually sits on 14 islands with over 50 bridges at the drainage of Lake Mälaren, with over 20 lakes and countless streams. This is why it is sometimes referred to as the Venice of the North. The country is divided into 21 counties, each abbreviated by a letter or double letter known as a country code. For the EU statistical system, though, the counties are grouped into 8 riksområden, or national areas, to address things like population data and so forth, but they in themselves do not have any administrative function. Otherwise, if you ask a Swede, they might revert back to the 3 traditional lands of Sweden, Norrland, Svealand, and Götaland. Technically, there was a fourth, Österland, which was basically South Finland when it was under Swedish rule, but that term hasn't been used since the 15th century. Anyway, Stockholm is also the central hub of economic activity and transportation. The largest and busiest airport is Stockholm's Arlanda International, which, like so many European international airports, is located super far from the actual city. It takes a 20-minute
20 minutes, damn.
express train or 45-minute car drive to downtown. The second largest airport, Landvetter International, is located in the second largest city, Göteborg, or Gothenburg for the misguided.
Yeah, that is how you say it, right? Isn't it like Göteborg, something like that? Göteborg. I don't know if I'm saying it exactly right, but that's what I've heard. And he's saying it like that, though.
English speakers. Göteborg actually also has the largest shipping port in the country and the largest in all of Scandinavia, taking in about a third of all Swedish trade activity.
That's
it lies
cool.
on the Kattegat and Skagerrak, the shallow straits that open up Scandinavia to the rest of the world. With other major cities
Makes
like
sense,
Oslo
makes
and
sense.
Copenhagen within radius, here about 70% of all industry and commerce through Scandinavia happens. It's a busy spot to say the
Makes
least.
sense,
Finally,
makes sense.
the country has quite an organized system of roads and rail networks that more or less parallel each other. There are 2 main north-south highways, the E4 that hugs the entire Bothnia coast, and the E45, the longest road in the country that goes along the mountains inland from Göteborg all the way to the border with Finland in the north.
Also, it's important to note that Sweden claims to have the most islands out of any other country in the world, at over 260,000.
In any case, Sweden's domain wasn't always confined to these borders.
For starters, Sweden, being Scandinavian, obviously have Viking history. If you know anything about Vikings, you'll know that they went places.
They were literally in the Americas 500 years before Christopher Columbus.
And when they
Yeah, I mean, they're like Nordic, pretty much, traders, sailors, yeah. Pretty much just, Nordic sailors, pretty much. That's what they were at the end of the day. Yeah, and I think in English it's like a mistake, right? Because they're not really Vikings, they went on Vikings, pretty much. Like Viking is like a verb rather than a noun or like an adjective, I think. Well, actually, no. So, something like that, yeah. Like, because you can't really be a Viking, but you can go on a Viking, is what I think. And then, like, we corrupted the meaning in English somehow, so you can be a Viking now. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
couldn't conquer an area, they still left their mark somehow. Even the Hagia Sophia in Turkey has runic inscriptions hidden on it.
It was like
I think that was the Varangian gods, yeah. Which were like, I guess Russian and Nordic and Scandinavian, bodyguards slash soldiers for the Eastern Romans. Yeah.
Viking graffiti, like Vikings were here.
On top of that, in the 1600s, Sweden started to become a European powerhouse, and like many other countries, took an attempt at settling and colonizing places outside of Europe.
At one point, Sweden had fortresses and colonies in the Americas,
Yeah, New Sweden. Like, it's just area where, like, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. This area down there. It's interesting.
Africa, mostly in what now is Ghana.
Further more, within Sweden, you even have a few micronations.
We don't have time to get into each of them, but they're pretty interesting. One of them was made as a protest by an artist to protect those wooden sculptures.
Anyway, the developmental structure behind Sweden has a lot of history behind it.
Like Visby on Gotland Island, probably the best preserved medieval city in Scandinavia.
The Old Town Stockholm neighborhood of Gamla Stan was built as a fortress to protect against pirates.
Later on, one of your kings would actually become a pirate, but that's another another story. In fact, the country
Oh, let's see that. Let's go back a little bit. I want to see what that is. King Eric the Seventh, Kalmar Union. Okay, that's cool. Is this Eric of Pomerania? Something like that. It might be Eric. I think that is Eric of Pomerania, though. Yeah. He was reduced, or like, I guess they called him that to exclude him. Yeah. Eric of Pomerania, and he was Eric the. Yep. Okay, it was Eric of Pomerania. Okay. And I think they did that. They called him Eric of Pomerania to make him seem like an outsider after he lost favor with the nobility and such, I think.
pirate, but that's another story. In fact, the country has 15 UNESCO heritage sites, and actually here's fellow geography Rebecca to explain a little bit more about the top notable sites of Sweden. Rebecca, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name's Rebecca, and if you're ever in Sweden, here are some of the most notable sites. There are plenty of notable castles, fortresses, and cathedrals, such as Drottningholm Castle, Gripsholm Castle, Örebro Castle, Visby Town Wall, Uppsala Cathedral, and St. Mary's
I've heard of Uppsala, yeah. That's pretty cool though.
Cathedral. Sweden also has the highest concentration of runestones in the world, with the most famous one being Rökstenen. There's also many historical Viking sites, such as Birka Viking Village, Trelleborgen, Old Uppsala, and Alestenar. If you're looking for more excitement, check out the theme parks Liseberg, Gröna Lund, and Skara Sommarland. Notable museums in Sweden are the Vasa Museum, ABBA Museum, Fotografiska
ABBA Museum, that'd be cool. Feel like ABBA.
and the Museum of Natural History. In Stockholm, you can find the newly renamed Avicii Arena. It also acts
Oh, I love Avicii. That would be awesome, actually. If I ever visited Sweden, yeah.
acts as the sun in the largest scale model of our solar system. Thank you, and I hope you come to visit Sweden someday.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Speaking of Swedish places, like other Nordic countries, we have allemansrätten, which is the legal right to roam anywhere in nature.
Have you guys ever taken advantage of that Allemansrätten thing?
Nice.
You just like pick berries. And,
Yeah, I mean, most places are owned by the country, so you're allowed to be there.
Can you just like walk in someone's backyard and be like, hey,
No.
Allemansrätten?
No. It has to be
Preferably
public
not.
land.
Well, speaking of roaming in nature, there's lots to explore in Sweden, which brings us to...
Yeah, I heard the south of Sweden doesn't have the best nature, but as you go more and more north, it gets a lot like more interesting, varied in its geography. Like a lot more mountainous and such as you go more and north of Sweden.
Now, in the Nordics, each country kind of has their own trademark physical trait.
You know, Norway has the mountains and fjords.
Denmark has the flat grassy farms,
Finland is the land of lakes.
and Iceland is basically just one big volcano.
And then you get to Sweden and it's like a little bit of everything. Yes, there's
No,
even
yeah.
a sm-
There's kind of seem accurate. It is a little bit of everything, I guess, yeah. Flatness in southern Sweden, more mountainous and fjordy in the north, right? Do they have any volcanoes?
small sand volcano in Simi...
Oh, sand volcano, okay.
Sweden lies on the Scandinavian peninsula of northern Europe, shared with Norway, on the east side of the Scandinavian mountain chain that separates them. Here you can also find the tallest peak, Kebnekaise, in the far north. This means that Sweden gets most of its river runoff from the mountains that mostly flow down into the Gulf of Bothnia, and the longest river shared with Finland being the Torne or Tornio River. The longest river fully within Sweden, though, being the Dalälven River. Amongst these rivers is an abundance of lakes and ponds peppering the flatter hilly valleys below, the largest of these lakes being Värnen and Vättern in the south. The reason Sweden has so many of these pockety lake zones and eroded rivets is because they sit on a post-glacial rebound zone.
Yeah, it used to be covered all by ice, right?
Basically, during the Ice Age, all this land was crushed by heavy ice. But after the ice melt, like a sponge, Sweden started to slowly spring back up again. This means every year Sweden recovers on average about 4 millimeters of land from the sea. In some places,
cool.
even more. This is why you
That's
might
pretty
see
epic,
extended
actually.
piers from old homes that once used to be situated on the shore. The country has 4 general climate zones: the oceanic zone in the south by the
And that's where most people live, right? I mean, oceanic climate's really nice. It's mostly cool all year round. Yeah.
Baltic Sea. This is also where most of the agriculture is situated.
Makes
the
sense,
continental
yeah.
zone is in the middle part of the country. And finally, the
And this continental zone probably has harsh winters and harsh summers. Just cold winters, hot summers.
subarctic in the north just above that.
Mostly just cold and subarctic, probably, yeah.
These areas have the highest forest concentration in the country. Also, the peaks of the mountains are classified as tundra. The top 15% of Sweden lies just north of the Arctic Circle, where the coldest temperatures and highest snowfall happens. Otherwise, in the south, they might not even get any snow at all in the winter. Just cold,
Yeah.
depressing rain. Numbers fluctuate depending
It
on
sounds
which...
a bit like Sweden. I mean, that sounds a bit like Denmark too. They don't get much snow either. It's mostly just cold. So in the south part of Sweden, it's probably pretty cold as well. But I mean, it is oceanic, so it's pretty nice still all year round. I wouldn't say the weather is as bad as American weather usually, because we have, you know, again, like the hot summers and the cold winters. Although, you know, it does depend where you live in the US as well. But like on the east coast of the US, it's hot winter, hot summers and cold winters. Yeah. Maybe in the middle part where this continental climate zone is, maybe they get like a similar thing over here. But in the oceanic, it probably more similar to Denmark and the UK.
source you study, but somewhere around or above 60% of the country is forested, making it the second most forested country
Wow, 60%. That's cool.
in Europe after Finland.
It's also important to note that Sweden has
After
aprile
Finland, that
weather,
makes
or
sense.
April weather, in which, well...
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the sun is finally out after 6 months of darkness. So clothes come off. We sit in the sun. Oh, whenever you see a Swede too, expect this. Facing the sun, eyes closed. And then all of a sudden a storm hits or snow comes or...
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
The interesting thing, though, is that Sweden in the past was kind of not much like what they are today. In fact, at the beginning of the 20th century, much of Scandinavia was struggling with widespread poverty.
However, much like Germany's Wirtschaftswunder, they had the Rekordåren, in which Sweden's economy bursted with now industries and innovation.
And today you have the largest economy and most powerful nation in Northern Europe.
To explain a little bit more on the way Sweden takes what it has and flourishes, here's Noah. He's back!
Well, here we are. Once again, let's get to it. Despite having lush green lands, only about 7% of the country is arable. Therefore, agriculture isn't exactly their
Oh,
main
only 7%. Okay.
focus. Today, much of Sweden's open market economy is heavily based on exports, especially in the timber and mining sectors.
Makes sense.
The largest
Makes
mine in
sense.
Kiruna is actually so large they are currently in the process of moving the town and residents to make more mines. This is how Sweden in the 21st century became the world's 6th largest iron ore exporter and 3rd largest stainless steel exporter. And of course, lumber. The Swedes love trees so much that a long time ago during famine times, they would put crushed tree bark into their rye bread, which was actually good because the bark had lots of minerals and fiber. Go figure. The lumber
Fiber,
industry
yeah.
plays a huge role in their world.
You can put a little bit of yeah, like pretty much tree fiber, I guess, like crushed up in like tree parts pretty much. You can put that in some food stuff actually, because it's apparently not as harmful in like low doses. You can eat that, and it's fibrous shit. They use it in like in cheese as well, like, you know, like those bottles of cheese. It's interesting. Yeah, it's like a filler. It's like a food filler pretty much.
Renowned furniture commerce. We've all heard of IKEA having over
Yeah, IKEA,
450
yeah.
stores in about 60 countries. IKEA.
I've also heard like Ikea, like that pronunciation as well. Maybe that's a Finnish pronunciation, or I don't know. Maybe it's more Swedish. I don't know.
Actually studied that in design school.
Is that
But
true, Noah?
that is true. Not that I do it, but here we are. You might be familiar with other Swedish companies like Electrolux, Ericsson, H&M,
I know H&M, yeah.
Saab, Scania, Spotify,
Spotify, yeah.
and of course the largest domestic
Oh yeah, for the Volvo, yeah, that's Swedish as well.
company and only one on the Fortune 500 list, Volvo. Great cars, I might say. And that is
But they got a lot of Volvos in Sweden.
that is that. Until we meet again.
Thank you, Noah.
Now, going off of business talk, domestically, Sweden does have a pretty complex system when it comes to taxes that plays into their fiscal structure.
As of 2021, their individual tax rates range from about 32% to 52% based on income bracket margins. And that's not even including other factors like corporate value added taxes, which can be up to 25%.
When you add them, you get the second highest total tax revenue behind Denmark as a share of its country's income.
Yeah, that's, you guys kind of have high taxes.
Well, we also have healthcare.
Yeah. You get the good benefits.
And good schools.
And good
And
roads.
we get free food roads to the school.
Roads!
The
In any
benefits
case,
are
another
pretty good,
interesting
yeah.
thing about Sweden is its wildlife. And with that, here's Gary Harlow to explain.
Guess who's back? As a Nordic country, Sweden is obviously a place full of cold climate animals. In fact, they have the third highest number of their national animal, the moose, or the Eurasian elk, after Russia and Canada. There's so many moose that they actually have to hunt around 100,000 every year to maintain population control. Killing your national animal because there's too many? Go Sweden! There are 30 national parks and nature prediction zones, and the most famous being in the North Lapland areas where reindeer, muskox, grey owls and brown bears can be spotted roaming freely. Fun fact, reindeer have climate-adapted feet in the summer. Their spongy foot pads are more exposed, which help with traction. But in winter, the pads shrink and the hoof is exposed, which helps cut into the ice when moving. Finally,
neat.
Sweden is one of the few places in the world with a real taxidermised whale. The mouth used to be
Damn.
open for visitors to walk into, but it was closed
Oh,
off to
wow.
the public because a couple was caught having sex in it. Speaking of making babies, I made one myself. Here's a photo of my daughter. She's beautiful.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I remember the first meal I had in Sweden was reindeer meatballs. You guys love your reindeer. What's your favorite dishes in Sweden?
It probably is reindeer meatballs. Yeah.
I would say salmon. Grilled in the summer, oven baked in the winter.
Oh yeah, and you guys know fika, right? Yeah, fika. It's funny because
Yeah,
coffee
I've
is
heard of that. And I guess the meatballs are pretty popular in Sweden. A lot of Jewish people like to eat meatballs.
actually banned from Sweden like 5 times in the 1700s. But that's another story. To explain a
Wait,
little bit more,
what-
because
what?
coffee was actually banned from Sweden like 5 times in the 1700s.
Damn.
But that's another story. To explain a little bit more about fika and the food, here's Johan and Rika.
I mean, I guess technically coffee is a drug, right? I mean, caffeine and such. But I mean, you have tea and other things, right? And among drugs, caffeine is not the most powerful either.
All right, guys. Well, this is fika, and to explain, here is Johan.
So in Sweden, fika is a huge tradition. It's something you do daily. It's a part of a workday break where you kind of like gather, you sit down, and you have coffee. Historically, it's been that
I heard it's a bit similar to the Danish thing as well. And I guess it's a bit like tea time, something like that as well.
7 types of cookies minimum, plus cinnamon rolls and cardamom rolls, and then pastries such as princess cakes and other things. Every day,
I've
but
heard of
not
princess cakes, yeah, they usually have that on their birthdays as well. I've heard that's really popular in Sweden.
necessarily this many sorts. I wanted to give you a cross section of what it could be. So, and then the most famous on the bottom would be the princess cake.
So if I'm going to try some, I have to have some marzipan. So many layers.
I know.
Wow.
And
Hello there, my name is Dick and I'm here to talk about some of the food. We have kroppkakor or palt, depending on if you
Huh. Okay.
are from the north or south. Sill, or as you will call it, herring.
Yeah, we have herring as well, yeah. I don't love herring, but some people like it, yeah. Like pickled herring and stuff like that, right? Like that. Pickled fish. Interesting. Reindeer. We don't really have too much reindeer in the US, I don't think. More in Canada, definitely. I guess, no, we do have reindeer in Alaska, though. Yeah. And we have, of course, deer, venison.
We have reindeer, pea soup, cauliflower soup, surströmming or sour herring, but eat at your own risk. All of these foods can be eaten at the traditional smörgåsbord or smörgåsbord, basically a Swedish buffet. We
I've
also
heard
have
this, yeah,
kalles or Charles caviar. It's a Swedish style of smoked cod roe, not that super expensive.
Yeah, they like a lot of, they have a lot of tubed foods I've seen in Sweden. Like a lot of just food is in tubes, you want to spread that on crackers or something like that. Or the knäckebröd, right?
And of course we have knäckebröd!
Yeah.
And the traditional national dish of Sweden, Swedish tacos. Over to
What? Bruh.
some drinks from Sweden. We have
I heard they are starting to like tacos in Sweden and Scandinavian countries now. Interesting.
akvavit or flavored caraway liquor. Julmust on Christmas and påskmust on Easter. Glögg. We have glögg. And of
I've
course
heard of
my
glögg,
personal
yeah.
favorite, punch. It's made by the mixing of spirits like arak, brandy or rum with arak tea with some sugar and water. Very sweet, very strong and very
Interesting.
nice.
Thank you, Johan and Rikard. Oh, yeah, you guys also have something about like the alcohol in Sweden. Can you guys explain what is that?
It's called the Systembolaget, which is like the Swedish system of selling heavily regulated alcohol at state-owned stores at set prices.
So you can be 18 and go to a bar to get liquor, but you can't buy it at a store until
No.
you're 20.
Correct.
Logic,
Logic, yeah.
I mean, no, that actually kind of makes sense, though.
The way it goes is that Norwegian people go to Sweden to buy alcohol, Swedish people go to Denmark to buy alcohol,
Yeah.
Danish people go to Germany to buy alcohol.
I've
You
heard
guys all
this.
have a system.
Yeah, we have a
Big
system for
family.
cheap alcohol.
So there's probably a bunch of 16-year-olds taking a ferry over to Denmark.
The ferry itself is a party.
I've been on that ferry. I've been on that ferry with my mom between Helsingborg and Helsingør. Oh, and a funny story, I was told when potatoes were introduced to Sweden, it was kind of like this.
What are these things? Well, obviously, liquor.
And that's how aquavit.
Ah, yeah. I mean, Russians make like out of potatoes. You can. I mean, it's very starchy. Yeah, obviously. Makes sense. Makes sense. But it is really a useful plant. I guess it's useful. Potatoes are one of the most useful things in the world. They feed populations really well, and they grow in really any type of soil. They just grow really well. So it was probably one of the most useful crops that were introduced from the New World to the Old World, or rather from the Americas to Europe. It fed a lot of people. But it's originally from Peru. They have like over 3,000 varieties of potatoes. Quite a lot.
It was born, supposedly. Oh, what's that thing about candy on Saturdays? Explain, Carolina.
Lördagsgodis. You get to eat candy on Saturdays. So when we were kids, we got a little amount of money. We got to run to the store and pick our favorite candy. It's amazing. Best in the world. I mean, yes, good ingredients. When you come here, pretty much half the ingredients of American candy is illegal in Sweden. So.
Yeah, we do that. Well, on that...
I mean, I do think we should make a food regulation a bit tighter in the US. I mean, because if we make the food regulation a bit tighter, it will hopefully be a bit healthier, not as harmful, and just look better. Maybe it'll help, with the US's reputation as well. But yeah, obviously we should not have some of the stuff we do in food.
No, we've talked a lot about some of your small little traditions.
I do have to say, the American food's not as bad as you think. And you can buy organic food, and local businesses sell pretty good food as well. You got farms nearby, There's definitely good food in the US as well. In fact, I think the US has some of the best food, at least tasting-wise. Best tasting food, I think. The US has, probably. But, ingredient-wise, maybe not the best, yeah. But we do have some good stuff.
Let's explain a little bit more in... I asked geography Johan to explain Swedish people and what they're like, and he described it something like...
I really don't like the Swedish licorice, though. The black... I hate that.
This. A Swedish person is pretty reserved. They will definitely help you, but probably won't take the immediate initiative to help you. The way I see it, it's kind of like...
Oh no, I hope I don't fall. Oh, I'm falling. Oh, and I dropped my wallet. And I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer. Can you help me? Or...
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to help you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Here's.
Also, what are some other kind of taboos in Swedish culture? What do you think?
I guess when you get on the bus, if there is another available
I heard Swedish people are a bit more shy, and like Danish people are a bit more friendly. And it does seem to be a bit true from the people I've met.
seat and you go sit next to someone, don't do that. Just don't.
And don't have too much eye contact in general.
Preferably none.
Explain, what is logom menyanto?
Avoid eye contact, yeah. Avoid eye contact, yeah, that's a good idea.
It's a law that basically tells you that don't
I've heard of this, yeah. It's like you're not better than anybody else, you're all equal, yeah.
think you're better than anyone. It's like, don't tell people that you got good grades. Just get them and move on.
But still, kind of let them see it on you.
Yeah, it's definitely based on status.
Lagom is this word that does not exist in English, and it basically means not too much, not too little, just the perfect amount. I would say that a Swedish person is generally intelligent. Is that full of myself saying that?
Nah, it's just a result of...
It's a bit, I would say a bit, yeah. A bit full of yourself to say that, but whatever.
Our educational system.
That's right.
But part of your
Bruh, but Finland has better education, bro.
culture, Jantolon, you're not allowed to do that, right?
Well, we're not allowed to brag, no, but now we're in America, so...
Well, that was a discussion. Any case, let's break down the population of Sweden.
Sweden has a population of about 10.25 million and has one of the oldest populations in the world at about 41 years of age on average. About 75% of the country claims to be ethnically Swedish, and this is where things get a little complicated. For the remaining 25%, the Swedish government doesn't have any official statistical data on foreign background, but what we do know is that of these people, about 2 million of them were born abroad, and about 600,000 were born in Sweden as second generation with foreign parents. We also know that as of 2020, due to the refugee crisis, the largest immigrant communities had origins mostly from Syria and Iraq, which surpassed Finland and Poland in the 21st century for the largest foreign-born communities.
Yeah, we'll talk about the refugee thing later. But in the meantime,
Sweden uses the Swedish krona as its currency.
And we use the type C and F plug outlets, and we drive on the right side of the road. But we used to drive on the left side until September 3rd, 1967.
When the högertrafiksomläggningen was instituted.
and it was
Hey, nice. Yeah, right side
a
guy.
crazy time. People were all confused and jamming into each other. In Sweden, the official language is, shocker, Swedish.
But
Yeah, svenska.
the funny thing is, even though Swedish originated and has pretty much always been spoken natively in Sweden, Swedish actually only became official in the country in 2009.
Yeah, they kept kind of arguing about it. It was like,
No, it might be seen as more difficult for international issues. It might be seen as discriminatory, maybe, for those who don't speak Swedish. God!
So let's break this down. The country is called Sweden. What the do you think people should speak in Sweden?
And that's how Swedish became the official language of Sweden.
we've explained this before, but the three Scandinavian countries can all more or less understand each other. If you learn one, you can pretty much kind of communicate with the others. It's just,
I don't know if they can understand Danish as well, but I think Danish can understand them a bit better.
When they hear Danish, it's like,
oh, hey, Denmark. Interesting.
And the interesting thing is that the Swedish language has pitches.
Here's Geography Marcus to explain a little
Up and down,
So,
up and down.
Swedish is a very hard language to learn. We also have pitch dialect. Some words look and are pronounced exactly the same, but have different meanings. So the word plan, it can mean a plan, like having a great plan. It can also mean pitch, like a football pitch. Fotbollsplan. Banan, which means banana, but if you pronounce it banan, it means the track.
Oh my god, that's really annoying. No, that sounds just annoying to keep in mind, honestly.
Thank you, Marcus.
In any case, on top of that, there are also 5 protected languages in Sweden. Finnish, Menkal, Sami, Romani, and Yiddish.
Also, Sweden has a lot of regional accents.
If she spoke her native language right now, or
You don't even say dialect, you say language.
Native dialect, I wouldn't understand a word.
Well, a dialect is just a language without a navy and an army.
Say the most difficult southern Swedish thing you can say.
Okay, this is not my accent, okay? Disclaimer. Det är nämnt men tradigt och köra rulleball.
It is easy but difficult to drive a roller coaster.
Wheelbarrow, but that was really good.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
It does sound more like Danish, yeah. Especially with the yeah. The ra sound, right?
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
You thought wheelbarrow was roller coaster. Whoa! In any case, Christianity was introduced in the 9th century. Today, most Swedes, regardless of their level of religious devotion or lack thereof, are at least registered with the Swedish Lutheran Church.
And like the Danes and Norwegians, they have their confirmation ceremonies at age 14 or 15.
In old times, ancient Swedes and the Norse people followed the Asatru religion, where Thor, Odin, Loki, all of them were from.
Otherwise, Sweden is a constitutional monarchy, although they are mostly seen as just figurehead celebrities with almost no actual legislative power.
And today, the royal family is actually French descended.
For what it's worth,
Yeah, which is really interesting.
Actual legislative power.
And today, the royal family is actually French.
Yeah, but Bernadotte, right? Because I think it was a soldier, like an officer under Napoleon, and he married into the Swedish. Like he became the king of Sweden, pretty much. And then he eventually fought back against Napoleon because I guess he came to love. He came to like Sweden, and he came to defend Sweden, pretty much. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a Swedish man who became king of. It's a French man who became king of Sweden. Yeah.
French descended.
For what it's worth, being the largest of the Scandinavian countries, Sweden has a lot on its plate.
In general, most people would.
But it's a bit cool that they have a French descended monarchy instead of a German descended monarchy, like many other countries in Europe. So it does make Sweden a bit different, which is kind of cool. And I heard Sweden has a bit of French influenced words, or French background words, but a little bit. Yeah.
Say that the system works. Yes, we do have one of the highest life expectancies in the world at over 82 years.
People get paid to go to schools they are accepted in.
Healthcare is free for people under 18. Dental is free for anyone under
Oh, only under 18? Huh.
23.
Otherwise,
Okay.
There are price caps for medical and pharmaceutical services, and then
Oh, price caps, yeah. Makes sense. So it's still pretty cheap.
However, for the population,
Usually
there is a
cheap,
bit of a shortage in medical facilities, and like most state-subsidized healthcare systems, wait times can be an issue sometimes, and they follow the 0-30-90-90 rule. This rule states that a person cannot wait more than 90 days to see a specialist and 90 days after diagnosis to receive surgery unless it is deemed an emergency. This means that the worst case scenario, potentially, it could take almost half a year to get treated.
This is one reason why 1 out of 10 Swedes actually prefer private insurance.
Well, that thing is, it's nice to have options in the first place. Like, you can have public for most people, right? You know, you can have, there's public insurance, not public insurance, but you can have this public healthcare for most people, but then you can also have private insurance for people who want it. So it's nice to have options, I would say. And in the US, we don't have free healthcare, we don't have this cheap healthcare, so we have to always go private pretty much. Although there is Medicare and Medicaid if you are like, more poor or like disabled and such or older, you can get those services, but it's not common.
Which was, made available in 2010 rather than relying on universal healthcare system.
Otherwise, we aren't gonna...
I wish we had a universal healthcare system. Of course, we shouldn't fully get rid of private healthcare, but at least if we had this, most people would use it, I think.
To fully sugarcoat this episode, everyone knows that Sweden has seen quite a few drastic changes in the past decade or so. During the 2014-15 refugee crisis, Sweden saw a wave of asylum seekers, mostly from Syria and Iraq.
Obviously, this unexpected influx in such a short time, barely allowing the new immigrants time to integrate, kind of played out in many ways that made international news.
Now, this is where the narrative kind of steps on thin ice, because you want to be seen as compassionate, but you also can't avoid the fact that statistically, problems that quiet Sweden had never really seen before obviously kind of started to arise. We've seen the news features, riots, multiple cities, crime rising, but at the same time, you also want to be seen as compassionate, but without sidestepping the issues. So the question was, how?
Well, it's not an easy question to answer.
So, I don't know, what do you guys think of that whole situation of the drama?
You can see it as either win-win or lose-lose in many ways, because if you're completely against taking in immigrants, you're basically considered a racist. And if you're trying to turn a blind eye to the fact that, crime has risen a lot the last years, then that's not great either. So I think this is a fairly new problem, and it takes some time to really figure it out.
Yeah, maybe focus on better integration and assimilation while also slowing down immigration a little bit. And maybe spread out the immigration a bit more as well. Like maybe spread out the migrant populations, so they're not just concentrated in certain areas, so they're more spread out. Might help.
Difficult.
And kind of a discussion of how to help people, integrate into the society in general.
Swedish society.
I think integration is keyword.
Half the people are gonna argue for all the benefits of opening our country up and helping people, and those are huge as well.
Yeah. See, this is kind of part of the complication of Sweden. There's always like a dichotomy of ethics and consequences within their story. For example, they've been neutral, or at least on paper, for 200 years, yet that neutrality has always kind of been tested throughout the time.
In World War I, our choice not to intervene pretty much costed us the chance to integrate the Åland Islands.
And in World War II, Sweden...
Yeah, it did, yeah. I remember that from the Finnish episode. Because Finland helped the Åland Islands instead of Sweden.
It took
And so that's why the Ålanders joined Finland, pretty much.
Almost all of Denmark's Jewish refugees. However, they did trade with Nazi Germany and let them use the railroad.
Yeah, I don't think Sweden should have been neutral in World War II. That's a bit fucked up in my opinion. But, it's history, but still. I don't think they should have been neutral.
But it's like, what other choice did they have when they just witnessed and saw Denmark getting demolished and attacked and occupied in like 6 hours? It's like, do you stay neutral yet technically cooperate, or fight back with no chance and lose everything?
I mean, fight back a little bit, yeah, honestly. Even if you have no chance, your country's not going to be completely destroyed. You're going to get a chance to rebuild after World War II. But if you fight back, at least you're doing it for a good cause, in my opinion.
So many heavy choices with no simple answers. Well, that was fantastic enough.
I mean, I can see why they didn't fight and why they stayed neutral, but I just think it would have been more courageous to fight.
Uplifting.
In any case, we must move on. One thing Sweden definitely does actually feel uplifted by would be their heavy involvement in sports.
And with that, Art usually fills in for the sports part, but again, he's still on vacation with his family, so I don't know. Noah, why don't you fill in? All right, Noah, you got to be Art this time. He's gone, so
No, you missed the do, and you go to.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Sorry, but sports in Sweden. Fun fact, they actually won a half medal at the 1900 Olympics, technically. They teamed up with Denmark in the tug-of-war event. Yes, there actually used to be a tug-of-war event in the Olympics, which does sound pretty cool. Why would you get rid of that? I go to the Olympics.
That would
you
actually be kind of
tug-of-war.
cool,
That'd be pretty awesome.
You could just be your own team, Noah.
There are two sports that kind of originated in Sweden, brandball and floorball. Brandball is kind of like baseball, and floorball is basically like hockey with a ball on the floor. So the thing about Sweden is that each of their neighbors is kind of like their biggest rivals in a certain sport. And of course, we can't mention football without mentioning their biggest player, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. But depending on who you ask, many people might say that ice hockey is the national sport. In 2006, they became the first and so far only team to win both tournaments in the same calendar year, Olympics and World Championships. They're part of the Big Six that are considered the best ice hockey teams in the world, including Canada, Czechia, Finland, Russia, and the United States. That's the sports parts.
Thank you, Noah. So much culture in Sweden. Actually, if you want to learn more about it, just read The Adventures of Niels. He rides a goose around Sweden and learns some life lessons along the way or something.
With that, here's Brandon Hannah with culture stuff.
Hey guys, I'm back. Woo! In Sweden, you'll find that every region has its unique identity. For example, the Sami people of Lapland in the north, they have their reindeer herding, tents, and colt or yakti clothing. If you go to the south in Skåne,
Yeah, Sami people are pretty interesting. They're spread all throughout, like northern Finland, northern Sweden, and northern Norway. They're their own people, though. They used to have their own region, Lapland. Yeah. Of course, a bit in Russia as well. Bit sad what happened to them, but
though, you'll find a radically different culture of glass blowing and silversmithing, stuff like that. Of course, we don't have time to dive into all the regions, but one thing you'll realize is that they all have a traditional costume, or folkdräkter. One thing you will see all over Sweden is a typical redwood farmhouse. They also have the Dalahäst, a wooden horse usually painted red with patterns. And speaking of iconic animals, Swedes actually love Donald Duck, even more than Mickey Mouse. And every year during Christmas, they show Donald Duck and his friends wish you a Merry Christmas on the TV. Sweden also has many notable individuals in the arts and literature department. And probably the most critically well known is Anders Zorn, who is commissioned to paint numerous high-profile figures. Swedes are known for their crime, fiction, drama, and literature. They
I've heard of these, yeah, Nordic noirs, yeah.
love the complex, moody scenarios. Many people attribute this guy, I'm not even going to try and say his name, as the founder of modern Scandinavian crime fiction. But the #1 best-selling Swedish author of all time is actually Astrid Lindgren. You've probably heard of her Pippi Longstocking series.
Pippi Longstocking, yeah.
And speaking of consumable media, if you want to learn about culture, history, and geography through film, check out Filmography Now, where we talk about people like Ingmar Bergman, who is a huge influential person in the film industry, and he was from Sweden. Finally, Sweden is known for having a ton of inventions and discoveries, such as nicotine gum, the pacemaker, the 3-point seatbelt, GPS, the ultrasound, dynamite, and the Celsius temperature scale. And 4 elements on the periodic table were named after the town Ytterby. Ytterberg. I give up, guys. Too many strange vowels and sounds. And one thing you should give up on is Keith and his music segment. Take it away, Keith.
Wow, so we're finally talking about this country that I have totally not any sort of bias towards. Oh wait, hold on, I think I'm forgetting something. I hope everybody recognizes my favorite Swedish band right here. Let's talk about Sweden, shall we? Technically, Sweden doesn't have an...
Alright, Sabaton. And ABBA, yeah. Probably the most famous Swedish musicians, maybe, or bands, right? And of course, just a lone musician would be Avicii. Awesome. Avicii, ABBA, Sabaton. Sweden has made some good music, I would say.
National anthem. So they have this one song, it's called Du Gamla Du Fria. I guess it's the de facto anthem, but not the official one. There's tons of really great Swedish folk songs accompanied by the Swedish nickel harp. Kind of looks like a keyboard mixed with a violin. Who likes Strandberg guitars? I do. Just so many great guitar players. Per Nelson, greatest guitar player I think out of Sweden. Yeah. There's also Yngwie Malmsteen, Ola Öglund, Michael Ackerfeldt. I don't understand why Scandinavia has produced some of the world's greatest guitar players. Anyways, Sweden has also a very pop-centric side.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know ABBA? I Want to Be a Dancing Queen. ABBA won in 1974 for the Eurovision contest. Also,
Awesome.
now ABBA's actually going to be making a new album after
Freaking coming back.
for doing 40 years of basically nothing. Since then, Sweden has been kind of the pioneers of like electro pop and dance music. More
Avicii.
well-known artists might be like Avicii, the
Rest in
Carnigans,
peace, yeah.
Swedish House Mafia, Roxette. Funny thing is a lot of American pop songs were written by Swedes. Max Martin has hundreds of songs. Before I go, some of the bands that I really do enjoy are Opeth, Meshuggah, Pain of Salvation, Sabaton, there's Beardfish. I wish I could name them all.
Sabaton, yeah.
Anyways, you guys have a great one. Love y'all.
Thank you, Keith. Any music suggestions for Swedish music?
Robin, she's a great musician.
Benjamin Ingrosso is killing it.
Well, speaking of which, Carolina is a musician and an artist, and you can follow her Spotify at this link right here.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I will promote it. I will promote your Spotify. Don't be all Logum or Yantalo and whatever that is on me. You gotta promote yourself. This is America.
So far released 3 Swedish songs, 1 English one.
You want to promote anything? You have a website? Anything?
No.
You were in a Norwegian movie and it got an Emmy Award.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, your music has touched the world in so many ways. And another way Sweden has made its name across the world is by interacting with it. So let's move on to the friend zone.
I'm gonna guess Sweden's friends, their main friends are Finland and Norway. And of course they are friends with Denmark, but the biggest friends are Finland and Norway, I think.
Now, Sweden has an interesting way of dealing with the rest of the world.
They kind of have a hands-off unless really necessary approach to international conflict.
For one, their security doctrine states that they have a nonpartisan stance in regards to military alliances. However, it permits cooperation with threats against peace security with their military. Yes, Sweden has a military. Nonetheless, they joined the EU in 1995, which some criticized as being against neutrality, but Sweden decided to see it as an extension of economic activity that had already been going on with the EU, and they also hold the right to not participate in EU defense. Today, they have 79 embassies abroad on all inhabited continents. In Asia, Iraq actually has had relations way before conflict years, dating back to the 30s, when members of the royal family visited Baghdad to see King Ghazi of Iraq. In the 80s, Swedish companies opened up in Iraq, trade was developing well for a while, and after conflict years, many Iraqis chose Sweden as their destination as refugees. The USA and Canada have always been close, as the US has the largest Swedish diaspora community at over 4 million.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, the US does have quite I guess Swedish descended people. That's true. I think in like I guess the Midwest or the Upper Midwest, there's quite a lot of Swedish descended people. Which yeah, it's interesting.
Million people, most heavily concentrated in Minnesota. Canada,
yeah, Minnesota, yeah,
having just about 500,000 with a huge community in Manitoba. Between 1820 to 1930, about 1.3 million Swedes immigrated to the Americas, which was at that time about 1/3 of the entire country. And today, these nations not only had a close historical bond, but in almost every diplomatic measure aside from military conflict, they've cooperated. Bringing it closer to home, Sweden is actually one of the top donors of.
So I guess Sweden doesn't mind the US. I heard some Swedish people really like American things. And I guess some really like Canadian things as well. But yeah. I don't know if they like us that much, per se, but yeah.
Moldova in regards to aid and development. They set a strategy of cooperation in 2007, which gives 11 million euros dedicated to good governance, economy, and rural development. Now we go even closer to the inner circle, the Nordics. Every single one of these 5 nations and their territories has an opinion about Sweden, and the gossip is heavy. Finland is, of course, really close, as for about 600 years they were actually a part of Sweden. And today, Finns are one of the largest non-Swedish communities with a protected language in pockets throughout the country. For Iceland, it's like, we're cool with them, nothing against them. They talk like our ancient Norse ancestors, but otherwise, they're totally our distinct.
Yeah, I think Norway's closer with Iceland.
Cousins. Then we get to the last two, Denmark and Norway. Now here's the thing, each one kind of has a small historical gripe with Sweden. Denmark, as you know, has had more wars with Sweden than any 2 nations on Earth, constantly fighting over influence for Northern Europe. Norway was kind of pissed that Sweden's neutrality prevented them from intervening in war times when they thought the Swedish were like really close and Norway was even part of Sweden. This was especially evident in World War II. It was like the moment of tension. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, you cannot separate the Scandinavian trio. They just get each other too well. They share too much, they have the same general Scandinavian minds, they have that Viking blood, they are truly people of the North. After the insults have been hurled, they will probably say, okay, yeah, we love each other. Denmark and Sweden, though, will probably first hug Norway before hugging each other, but otherwise, yeah, inseparable trio.
All right, and
yeah, I think Sweden likes Norway the best, and Norway likes Sweden the best, and then they like Denmark after that. Yeah.
in conclusion, you are the Swedes. I'm going to step out.
Although they do make fun of Danish people a lot from what I see.
Hold the flag in the background while you speak freely from the heart.
I want to say in conclusion, Sweden is a beautiful country with beautiful nature, beautiful architecture, if we haven't mentioned that just yet.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, if you meet a Swedish person, he or she might be a little I'm not sure about you, but lead on with a smile and some love, and you'll get the exact same back, I promise you.
I like that. That was good. All right, well, thank you guys so much for being in this episode. Thank you. And stay tuned. Switzerland is coming up
Oh,
next.
Switzerland, that'd be cool. I visited Switzerland in the past. Cool country. But yeah, would be cool to visit Sweden, definitely. Let's check out Flag/Fan Friday now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Flag/Fan Friday. Hope you liked the Sweden episode. One small little mistake in the political animation, we accidentally mixed up the Land versus Landskap, the provinces versus counties. But you get the point. Oh, by the way, get a Geography Now mug or Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. Are you Team Hannah or Team Keith? Florida man, roll tide. It's not selling out if it's your brand. Anyhow, there was so much stuff we didn't have time to put in the episode. To explain a little bit more on the stuff that we missed in the episode, I promised Geography Rasmus he could do it. Rasmus, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Rasmus and I've been waiting for
nice beard.
This episode since Denmark. Now, dialects. Älvdalen
since Denmark, yeah.
is a northern dialect, also only understood in the local area. And it might even stem from a completely different branch than Swedish. So, some fun facts. Candy Crush, Battlefield, and Minecraft are some Swedish produced games.
Yeah, Minecraft is pretty much the biggest game in the world, so quite interesting for that.
And statistically, every 8th person in the world have actually played a Swedish game. North Korea once asked for 1,000 Volvos in the 70s, and after receiving them, they never paid back, so Sweden just keeps sending the bill over. It's about 300 millions of euros of worth. And here, blood donors get a tax after the blood is being used to help. Swedish Forestry Act requires that if you fell a tree, you have to replant it. We invented oat milk. Absolut Vodka is produced locally in the southern region of Skåne. So, thank you guys. Have a great...
Some people get paid in the US to donate blood and to donate stuff, yeah. I guess it really isn't donation at that point, but it's a lot smaller, so it's still kind of considered donation. I'm not sure, but interesting.
Thank you, Rasmus.
Tax incentives could work, yeah.
A few other small things. Nordstrom and Walgreens from here in the US were actually started by Swedish Americans. They have one of the only few spaceports in all of Europe. And Swedes, like a lot of other people in the Nordics that I noticed, really like snus. I hate this stuff, and I actually only tried it by accident because I was taking a drink and someone left their snus in my drink. And I threw up like crazy. I hate snus, but you Swedes do you. In any case...
Yeah, I don't like it, but they do it quite a lot there in Denmark and in Sweden, yeah. Kind of disgusts me. And of course, tobacco and such is American in origin, actually. But then it went to Europe, and it went to Sweden, and Swedes used chewing tobacco, and then they developed snus. Pretty much, yeah.
Let's move on to the flag. This episode was so fun to film. I couldn't have done it without you guys, the Swedish Geography peeps. And also huge thanks to Carolina, Jonas, and Johan for being in it. You guys rock. Really appreciate it. In any case, let's move on to the flag. The flag is very simple. It's a yellow Nordic cross sprawled across a blue field. The yellow cross, of course, symbolizes Christianity, and it follows the same sideways configuration format that their neighboring Nordic nations also have. Now,
it's a bit of a boring flag, but it's not bad. It's good enough.
The exact origins of the flag are shrouded in mystery. Many might quote the legend of King Eric IX.
Well, it's inspired off the Danish flag, because the Danish flag is I think one of the first flags in existence, pretty much. But yeah. And then obviously the design is, inspired off that.
As he claimed while going into the first Swedish crusade that he saw a yellow cross in the sky, hence the color yellow and blue. Others might say that it was just a knockoff of the earlier Danish flag. Either way, the first
it's definitely inspired off the Danish flag, but the colors are different, so.
recorded document describing the flag dates back to 1562 with a royal warrant describing it and its colors. Some also might attribute King Charles VIII in 1442 for making it, or Gustav I, but at this point nobody really cares anymore. Now, of course, throughout history they had different variants of their flag. For example, from the 14th to the 16th centuries, they were
I've seen this one, yeah, the Kalmar Union.
Kalmar Union, in which pretty much all the Nordics kind of joined together as one unit.
Kind of
Then in the 1800s, they took over Norway and they had this flag. Then later on, they switched to this confusing flag. And finally, back to the good old yellow and blue. And speaking of complicated, the coat of arms is going to be a nightmare, but let's see what we can do. Now, the coat of arms of Sweden actually has a greater and lesser version. The greater version contains this mantle with royal drapes and a crown. But if you take that off, you have the main chunk of the image. Two lions holding the sides of the shield, symbolizing courage, valor, strength, royalty, all that stuff. Surrounding the inner shield is a collar with the Order of the Seraphim, the highest medal of honor in Sweden. Now, the shield on the interior has so much on it, but to summarize without boring you too much, it basically just displays all the heraldic imagery of Sweden's historical.
Yeah, arms of Jean-Baptiste, Jules Bernadotte. That's awesome, yeah. Yeah, French descendant, yeah, that's cool. Bernadotte, House of Bielbo, House of Vasa, okay.
Royal households. The very
Napoleon.
simplest coat of arms you
yeah.
will see of Sweden, though, is this one, the Three Crowns shield. Three Crowns image is also kind of shrouded in mystery and only has suggested origins. Some claim it's the crowns of the three wise men in the story of Jesus' birth. Others say that Albrecht of Mecklenburg, king of Sweden, brought it in the 14th century. Again, no one quite knows, but it has been a symbol of Sweden nonetheless for centuries and is proudly displayed in many scenarios, such as the jerseys of their national ice hockey team. Fun fact, St. Barthélemy, which is now a French overseas territory, used to be a Swedish territory, and you can even tell within their flag it has the three royal crowns on it. You know, kind of like alluding to their former colonial status. In any case, that's about it, which means now we move on to the next part. You know what it is. It is Geography Fan Mail time.
Okay, so I really enjoyed that, and let's check out some of the Swedish comments for the Geography Now Sweden video. Traveling with Christian. The Vasa Museum is super cool, and Monte Vasa is also like the previous dynasty. Also recommend biking around Stockholm. And Iceland is basically one big volcano. Any Swedish person ever. The second airport is located in the second largest city, Göteborg, or Gothenburg. I died. Denmark and Sweden hugging Norway before hugging each other is such a cute and accurate description of our nation's relationships with each other. Yeah. They have their Viking blood. I was so happy to see helmets without horns. Yeah, historically accurate. Thank you for actually being historically accurate. Back when we were filming in Sweden, it was clear to see that the Scandinavian wolf population is concentrated to the southern parts of central Sweden, which means the counties of Västmanland, Örebro, Värmland, Dalarna, and Gävleborg, yeah, probably like that. There are rarely any wolves in the northern half of Sweden, nor in the very south. Most of Sweden's wolves live in densely forested areas. Yeah, you finally made it to us. Why am I on this list? Damn. Oh yeah, didn't even mention PewDiePie. Sweden, Denmark, and Norway have that kind of relationship that siblings have, where we will constantly poke fun at each other, but get mad if anyone else pokes fun at them. Sweden, ho ho! I should say, ho ho! Denmark has potato in mouth. Non-Scandinavian country. Yeah, they're really weird. Sweden, don't talk about my Denmark like that. I don't know if that's what's true exactly, but yeah, they do make fun of each other. Finally, been waiting for this since the day this series started. Can't believe we're finally here. Fun fact, the two pitches are only present in Sweden Swedish. In Finland Swedish, however, there is only one pitch. And another fun fact, Swedish was officially mentioned in the Finnish constitution as a national official language before Sweden. Yeah. Before Swedish became Sweden's official language, Finland was actually the only country in the world where Swedish was the official language. And I mean, I have to say, but I mean, obviously Denmark and Norway are more known for Vikings and yeah, that type of things than Sweden. But I mean, like, Sweden still participated in the Viking stuff, of course, yeah. Killing a national animal because there's too many. Go Sweden. Australia cries an emu war. The amount of similarities between Finland and Sweden never ceases to amaze me. But I do find Finland to be more similar to, of course, Estonia and some Finnic parts of Russia. But yeah, of course, Finland and Sweden do have similarities, yeah. He really does pronounce the Swedish good. I mean, it still doesn't sound great, but I mean, it does sound like an very impressed. First guy I've ever watched pronounce it that good whilst not knowing Swedish. I wonder if the Swedish one is slightly different, because well, I mean, I can pronounce this like sound, the with the umla, in some other languages, but I don't know if I'm doing it correct in Sweden. But I would guess I am. I mean, it looks the same as the German one, sort of. But yeah. Yeah, what this guy said, my thoughts exactly. Thanks, the only reason I think is because it's kind of similar to the Korean letter I grew up with. The sound, it does sound a bit like although is a unrelated, unrounded sound, and right, that's the Danish one with the thing, with the line going through it. I think it's also Norwegian as well, because they adopted the Swedish version pretty much. But yeah, it's a rounded sound. Question: is the Swedish the same as the German If you say moo in a really deep voice for 2 to 3 seconds, it sounds like a Minecraft zombie. Moo. No, they're a bit different. Okay. Well, I study German and I would say they're extremely similar. Oh, I see, that explains some things. Man, I still can't get over Avicii. Didn't know they renamed their stadium after him though. Very cool. Yeah, rest in peace. He was awesome. Damn. Man. I was waiting the whole episode for the famous people segment, expecting PewDiePie to be there, but was blue-balled. Okay, man, this was pretty cool though. Yeah. Oh yeah, finally, half Norwegian, half Swede here. I really like these. This was a great birthday gift. As a Frenchman, I've always been fascinated by the North European countries. I've studied Swedish for 2 years at university, but haven't had the chance to travel to Sweden yet. The cold temperatures and tough weather conditions. It's not that cold. It's not that tough. I just have to say. Maybe if you go more north in Sweden, though, it probably does get tougher. But oceanic climate's not that bad. That's all I'm saying. Are perhaps the only two downsides of Sweden. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that Swedish girls are stunning? Thanks for the video. The content was really interesting. I've been following the channel for 2 years now, and I'm glad to see the fan base gets bigger and bigger. You guys deserve it. The weather really isn't that tough where most of us live. It's generally rather mild. Yeah, where the Swedish population is concentrated, it's pretty mild. Bad weather is totally a myth. You'd be surprised to know that once you venture off in the hippie spots in big cities, it's not that bad. Okay. Yeah, I would hug a Norwegian before a Swede, but hey, at the end of the day, we are all Scandinavian brothers and sisters, and more unites us than separates us. Love the video from Dane. And from an American, it's not a bad country. It has interesting stuff, of course. I've met annoying Swedish people, of course, and nice Swedish people, you know, like most countries. Yeah, and I enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed my reaction, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And comment down below your thoughts. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye.